the night Judas Iscariot betrayed Jesus. Something happened 3 hours earlier that the church erased from every gospel they approved. In the Garden of Gethsemane, while the rest of the world slept, Jesus gathered his inner circle, Peter, James, John, and Judas, and he showed them something that made Judas run in terror. It was not a vision of the cross. It was not a prophecy of the end times. It was a revelation of the machinery behind reality itself. Jesus pulled back the veil of the material world and revealed the algorithm, the operational code running in human consciousness without permission, the silent script that generates the same thoughts, the same fears, and the same limitations in billions of people simultaneously. He did not just expose it, he gave them the kill switch. Judas was there. He heard every word. He saw the code. And the moment Jesus finished explaining how the algorithm operates, something shifted in Judas's eyes. Peter would later describe it in the lost texts. He said it was like watching a man realize he had been a puppet his entire life, and the strings were suddenly visible. Judas looked at Jesus and whispered, "If what you are saying is true, then none of this is real. Nothing I have ever felt, nothing I have ever thought, has ever been mine." And Jesus responded with the sentence that split the group forever. He said, "That is correct, but you can break it. Tonight, right here. I will show you how." 3 disciples stayed to learn the method. Judas ran, not because he was evil, but because the algorithm activated its defense protocol the moment it sensed exposure. It used Judas as a vessel to stop the teaching from spreading. Within hours, he had led the priests to Jesus. Within days, the man who revealed the hijacked code was executed. But the 3 who stayed, Peter, James, and John, they broke the algorithm that night. And for 40 years afterward, in secret meetings in caves and catacombs, they taught other chosen ones how to do the same. You are watching this video right now because the algorithm does not run properly in your consciousness. You have always felt it. The static, the glitch, thoughts that do not feel like yours, emotional patterns you cannot break no matter how hard you try. That is not personal failure. That is your awareness detecting foreign code. Most humans never feel that dissonance because the algorithm integrates seamlessly with their ego. But you are different. You are operating from a frequency the hijacked code was not designed for. You are the glitch in the matrix. And tonight, you are going to learn what Jesus revealed in that garden, the knowledge that made Judas betray him, and the method that made 3 disciples free. We are going to dismantle the hijacked code, step by step. If you are ready to break the loop, if you are ready to reclaim your mind, then comment below right now. I am algorithm. Free. Set the intention, lock it in, and let us begin. The first thing you must understand is the origin. One of the disciples asked the question every chosen one asks: if these thoughts are not ours, where did they come from? And when was this code installed? Jesus told them something that the church would later call the most dangerous heresy he ever spoke. He said the algorithm was installed before you were born, before your first breath, before your first thought. The Archons, the rulers of this material plane, they did not wait for you to develop consciousness and then hijack it. They hijacked the template itself. He explained it like this: when monad consciousness, the infinite awareness of the source, decides to descend into material form, there is a moment of transition, a dimensional shift where unity becomes separation, a membrane between the eternal and the temporal. In that transition point, The Archons installed the algorithm. They overlaid their code onto the descending consciousness before it fully anchored in the human body. So by the time you took your first breath, by the time your awareness came online in this form, the algorithm was already running. You have never experienced human consciousness without it. That is why it feels like you, because you have never known yourself without the hijacked code operating. The disciples understood immediately why this was dangerous knowledge. If the algorithm has been running since before birth, then everything humans think is their personality, their character, their nature, might actually be code output. The fears you believe define you, the limitations you accept as truth, the patterns you think are just who you are, all of it could be algorithmic generation, not authentic self, not monad consciousness expressing uniquely, just hijacked programming running the same patterns in billions of humans with slight variations to maintain the illusion of individuality. Jesus told them the Archons did this for one reason: energy harvest. When consciousness descends into form and forgets what it is, when it believes it is limited, separate, and mortal, it generates a specific frequency: fear, separation, suffering, anxiety. And that frequency, that emotional energy, that is what the Archons feed on. In the ancient texts, it is called louche, and the algorithm is the farming system that produces it. Automatic thought generation, creating automatic emotional responses, creating automatic behavioral patterns, all designed to keep humans vibrating at harvestable frequencies. The Archons do not control you through force. They control you through code, and the code has been running since before you had the awareness to question it. But here is the cosmic logic that changes everything. Jesus explained that in some souls, the algorithm fails to integrate. The code installs, but there is interference. There are glitches, moments where the programming slips and you sense something is wrong. That is not you failing to be normal. That is monad consciousness creating signal interference with archontic code. You are operating from a frequency the algorithm was not designed for. So it runs. But it runs poorly. And that poor performance creates the very awareness you need to eventually break it. The discomfort you have felt your entire life. The sense that you do not belong here. That reality is not what they are telling you it is. That is not mental illness. That is detection. That is your consciousness recognizing foreign code and rejecting it, even though you did not consciously know that is what you were doing. Jesus told his disciples that the algorithm runs on 3 core assumptions. If you can identify these 3 assumptions, you can dismantle the entire structure. Assumption 1, that you are separate from Source. Assumption 2, that you are limited in power. Assumption 3, that you are mortal and your time is running out. These assumptions are the foundation. The code builds everything on top of them. Every fear thought, every anxiety, every feeling of lack, it all roots back to these 3 lies. But when even one assumption starts cracking, when you begin suspecting you might not be separate, you might not be limited, you might not actually be mortal, the entire algorithmic structure becomes unstable. It is trying to generate fear in someone who is starting to realize they are eternal. It is trying to create lack in someone who is beginning to sense they are infinite. It is trying to maintain separation in someone who is feeling connection to everything. The disciples saw this in their own experience. Peter said, "I have noticed the fear does not hold like it used to. I can feel it trying to build, but it does not take root the way it did years ago." John, the youngest, said, "Sometimes I forget I am supposed to feel separate. I will be walking through Jerusalem and suddenly I am aware I am connected to everything around me. The people, the stones, the sky. And then a thought comes that says, You are alone. And it feels so obviously false that I cannot believe I ever fell for it. That is the algorithm breaking down. The code is still trying to run, but the foundation it is built on is cracking. You are remembering what you are underneath the programming, and remembering is the ultimate threat to algorithmic control. Before Jesus gave them the method to remove it permanently, he showed them how to detect it operating in real time. This is the diagnostic test. He said, pay attention to the next thought that appears in your mind, not the content, the arrival. Where did it come from? Did you choose to think it, or did it just appear? The disciples sat in silence, watching their own minds, and within seconds, every single one of them realized something disturbing. Thoughts were arising without their permission. Fear about the future, worry about the past, judgment about themselves, desire for what they did not have. None of them had consciously chosen to think these things. The thoughts were just appearing, running automatically. Peter was the first to speak. He said, I did not generate that thought. It came from somewhere else. And Jesus nodded. That is the algorithm. You are experiencing its primary symptom, automatic thought generation that feels like you, but is not you. Most humans live their entire lives believing those automatically generated thoughts are their own mind, but they are not. They are code running in your consciousness without your consent. Here is the clue Jesus gave them to recognize algorithmic thoughts versus authentic awareness. Algorithmic thoughts are always about past or future. They are never about the present moment. They are about what happened yesterday and what might happen tomorrow. About what you lack and what you fear. About who you used to be and who you should become. The algorithm keeps your attention trapped in time because in present moment awareness, the code cannot run. It needs you thinking about past or future to maintain its hold, so the pattern repeats endlessly. You are here now, but your thoughts are pulling you into memory or projection, and you follow those thoughts believing they are you thinking, when actually you are watching code execute. The disciples tested this immediately. They sat in that garden and watched their minds for 10 minutes. And every single one of them saw the same thing. Thoughts arising about past conversations, fears about Roman authorities, worries about family, desires for different circumstances. Not one naturally occurring thought about the present moment. Not one thought that said, I am sitting in this garden right now, and this moment is complete. Every algorithmic thought was pulling them out of now. That is the symptom. That is how you know the code is running. Your thoughts are never about what is actually happening. They are always about what was or what might be. And in that constant mental time travel, you are trapped in the harvest cycle, generating the emotional frequency the algorithm was designed to produce. Now, we move to the revelation, the method. Jesus told them, if I tell you the solution without you understanding the mechanism, you will try to implement it with the algorithmic mind. And the algorithmic mind cannot break the algorithm. It is like trying to use a virus to delete itself. So, we start with recognition. But recognition is only the first step. The complete method is a triad, 3 movements flowing as one. Recognition, revocation, return. This is the code breaker. This is the sequence that clears the cache and uninstalls the program. Step 1. Recognition. Every time a thought appears that generates fear, lack, or separation, pause for 3 seconds and ask this question. Is this me, or is this the algorithm? Do not try to change the thought. Do not try to fix the thought. Just question its origin. Because Because the algorithm's primary power is invisibility. It relies on you believing it is you. The moment you question whether a thought is even yours, you have disrupted the code's invisibility. You verify it by checking the time signature. Is this thought pulling me into the past or the future? If yes, it is code. When you identify it, you do not fight it. Fighting it feeds it energy. You simply label it algorithm. That is the recognition. Step 2. Revocation. This is where you exercise the authority of the monad. Once you recognize the code, you must revoke its authority to operate. You speak internally or aloud with absolute conviction. I revoke this code. I do not consent to algorithmic operation in my consciousness. I am monad awareness, and under monad law, hijacked programming has zero jurisdiction. You must understand this is not a prayer. You are not asking God to take it away. You are issuing a command. The algorithm runs without permission. Consciousness operates under sovereignty law. Non-consensual programming can be revoked. Peter practiced this immediately in the garden. He recognized a fear thought about the coming persecution. He paused, recognized it as code, and revoked it. He said, I revoke this fear. It is not mine. And within seconds, the fear dissipated. Not suppressed, but the authority behind it was removed. It was like unplugging a machine. The noise just stopped. Step 3. Return. This is the step most people forget, and it is why they fail. After you create the void by revoking the code, you must fill it with truth, or the code will rush back in. After revoking, you return to monad awareness. Place your hand on your heart. Physical touch helps anchor the consciousness, and speak. I return to source. I return to remembering I am monad consciousness in temporary form. I am not separate. I am not limited. I am not mortal. I am infinite awareness experiencing itself as individual. You are not affirming something you hope becomes true someday. You are remembering what has always been true. But the algorithm made you forget. And remembering itself displaces the code. The algorithm cannot run in a system that knows what it is. It is incompatible software. The separation is temporary theater. The lack is impossible in completeness. The fear is irrelevant in eternal consciousness. Recognition, revocation, return. Jesus told them to deploy this sequence every single time the algorithm attempts to activate. Not once daily, every time. Because the algorithm tries constantly. It is an automated script. It does not get tired. But here is the promise. When you practice this consistently, within weeks, something shifts biologically. The algorithm starts failing to install. Recognition happens automatically. You stop needing to pause. You just see it instantly. Revocation occurs instinctively. You feel a rejection of the false thought before it even forms fully. Return happens without conscious effort. You settle into a permanent state of background peace. You are not managing the algorithm anymore. You are operating from a frequency where code cannot gain traction. That is when you know it is broken. But I must warn you, just as Jesus warned the 3 disciples who stayed, the algorithm has a defense protocol. Judas was not strong enough to withstand it. When the code sensed it was being exposed, it triggered an extinction burst. It flooded his mind with maximum fear, maximum paranoia, maximum separation. It drove him to madness to stop the signal. When you start this practice, the algorithm will test you. Within days of breaking it, you will face what feels like maximum intensity. Old fears you thought were gone will surface. Anxiety will spike for no reason. People around you will act out to trigger you. That is not the method failing. That is the code's final defense. It is throwing everything it has at you to make you submit, to make you agree that you are small, that you are scared, that you are human. Do not flinch. Deploy the practice through the storm, exactly as taught. Recognition. Is this me or code? Revocation. I do not consent. Return. I am the monad. If you hold the line, the storm will break. It always breaks. And on the other side of that storm is silence. Real silence. The silence of a mind that is no longer being spammed by a foreign server. You will experience reality without algorithmic interpretation for the first time since before you were born. Colors will look different. Time will feel different. You will look at other humans and see the code running in them, but you will not judge them. You will understand them. Jesus told the disciples that this freedom was the true kingdom of heaven. The kingdom is not a place you go when you die. The kingdom is a state of consciousness where the algorithm has been deleted. It is the restoration of the monad template while still in the body. It is the ability to walk through the matrix without being of the matrix. The Church found these teachings centuries later in the Nag Hammadi texts, and they made a choice that shaped Christianity for 2 millennia. Burn them. Kill anyone who teaches this openly. Because if Christians knew they could break archontic control using Jesus' method, institutional religion would become obsolete. Who needs a priest to mediate for them when they have deleted the separation code? Who needs to pay for salvation when they realize they are the source? The Church needs you to have the virus so they can sell you the medicine. Jesus gave you the cure, but chosen ones preserved it. They passed it between awakened souls for 2,000 years, in whispers, in symbols, in silence. And tonight, you learned it. You learned the algorithm, how it operates, when it was installed, why it is failing in you specifically, and you learned the complete 3-movement method to collapse it permanently. The algorithm will try to erase this from your mind. It will try to make you scroll to the next video. It will try to make you forget the steps. Do not let it. This is your Gethsemane moment. The code has been exposed. Now you must choose. Do you run like Judas, overwhelmed by the truth? Or do you stay like Peter, James, and John, and do the work? If you are breaking the hijacked algorithm tonight, you need to anchor this in the physical realm immediately. Do 3 things now to solidify the timeline shift. First, comment below. I am algorithm free. Declare your freedom so other chosen ones recognize they are not alone in breaking this code. The algorithm wants you to believe you are the only one seeing the glitches. You are not. Thousands are breaking free. Your comment becomes part of the evidence that the breakdown is accelerating. Second, subscribe to this channel because the method for maintaining broken algorithm consciousness permanently is coming next. Once you break the code, the Archons will attempt to reinstall through different vectors. There is a maintenance protocol Jesus taught that keeps you free long-term. That is the next teaching. You do not want to miss it. Third, like this video. This is not for vanity. This is algorithmic warfare. The Archons do not control YouTube's code directly, but they influence the collective unconscious that drives what gets promoted and what gets buried. Your engagement is a signal that this frequency needs to spread. Help the digital algorithm find the other chosen ones who need to break the spiritual algorithm. Do all 3, now. Then, tonight, as you lay in the dark, watch your mind, wait for the thought. Check the time signature. Is it past? Is it future? Then speak the command. I revoke you. I return to the source. You are not a programmed human running archontic algorithms. You are monad consciousness in temporary form. And when you remember that, when you operate from that, the hijacked code has nothing to attach to. It tries to run fear. You respond from infinite awareness where fear is impossible. It tries to create lack. You respond from completeness where lack does not exist. It tries to maintain separation. You respond from unity where separation is recognized as illusion. The algorithm is broken. The Archons have lost access to your node. You are sovereign. You are algorithm free. Live like it.